Dead Betty be looking like she just got out of prison in Mexico. I know it's been a long time since you've had an update on our 1955 Buick. There she is. But finally, another video coming at you. We had Aileen from Stellar Designs come in and do pinstriping on the car. So check out this video and watch how it goes. Super awesome. Huge shout out, Stellar Designs, for doing the pinstriping and lettering on Dead Betty. Also want to say a big thanks to our sponsors so far. Awesome guys at Batman Fab, BOP Parts, Buick Oldsmobile Pontiac Parts, Tech, and Poppy's Patina. You just want to pin it on your shirt somewhere like that.
People can get a hold of me on almost any platform. I have a Facebook page called Stellar Designs, and I'm also on Instagram under Stellar_Customs_Designs. And on there you'll find my email address as well, and my phone number is on there too. So you can reach me in any way. And yeah, like, shoot me a message, ask some questions, and send me some pictures even if you're curious if that's something that can be done. And usually it can, so.
So you said you've been doing this for like 2 years?
Yeah, so I started out, how the whole thing actually started was 2.5 years ago. I bought a Chevy Chevette.
Yeah.
And it was an 86 Chevette. And I drug it out of the weeds in a friend's backyard. And anything that is bolt-on was not bolted on. So I'm talking like bumpers, windows, door handles, doors, the entire interior. The whole thing was just a shell. And anything, like any bolt, it was all like, I got a box with bolts basically. And it was all in unlabeled Ziploc bags. And so I was like, oh, this is a great thing to be tackling.
That's funny.
So I finally put the car back together and I had my fun with it, and it was a little 4-cylinder, right? Like it was completely gutless.
Yeah.
But it was fun and it was mine and I built it, right?
Yeah.
And so I drove that thing everywhere, and I even drove it to Medicine Hat, to the racetrack, and pretty sure I set like the record for the slowest pass ever made. It ran at 21:39.
Oh yeah.
In a quarter. So I drove it there. I raced it all day. I was just a hot lap in it. And then I slept in it, and then I drove it home the next day.
Nice. That's awesome.
And so that car just gave me so much joy that I figured I would paint it. And so I already had it in primer. And so I painted, I have it on my Instagram. I painted like a woman's face, like those lips, onto the driver's door.
Yeah, I did.
And then I painted like a record onto the quarter panel, and it just kind of started snowballing from there. And then a couple of friends of mine, they started a food truck, and they wanted me to paint the side of the food truck with like a burnouts like And so that was actually my first job that ever got commissioned.
Yeah.
So it started with that car, and I named that car Stella, hence Stellar Design.
Nice.
Because I wanted to kind of, give a little bit of credit to that car.
Yeah.
And so then from there on, I wanted to paint. I didn't have any of the emblems for the car, and so I wanted to paint Chevette onto the back.
Yeah.
And years ago, my dad bought some pinstripe paint and some brushes, and never used any of it. And so I hit him up and I was like, "Hey, do you still have all that stuff?" So we drug it out of the garage, and I just started messing around with it, and completely unintentionally, I started pinstriping.
Yeah.
And that was about 2 years ago now.
That's
cool.
So
then from there on, I started messing around with some designs and started doing the coasters and the coffee mugs. And that quickly turned into my friend Chance's race car. He's got an old Capri. And then I did a bike. Then I did Rampy. It just started snowballing.
Yeah.
And it finally got to a point where I had to decide, like, if I'm gonna push this or if I'm gonna just let this be a hobby. And I figured, what better time than now? Yeah. To take that risk. And here we are now.
So do you still own the Chevette?
No, I unfortunately sold it, and I'm so full of regret. I just wanted to get into something bigger. The whole reason I sold it the whole reason I bought it was I wanted to build a 9-second street car. Yeah. And I don't know if you know Dario, but he basically built exactly what I wanted to build. So I looked at what he did, and I was like, "There's not a chance in hell that I am doing this." Yeah. I didn't even start yet, and you run out of money, right? It was going to be a full tube chassis, and it just wasn't feasible at the time, unfortunately. Yeah. So there wasn't too much of a point in continuing to invest in this car. Which is, it was unfortunate. I actually daily drove it for the longest time. I drove it all through winter. Oh, wow. On 35-year-old cracked winter tires. And don't tell DOT. And on Deerfoot, in 2 feet of snow. And it was the most reliable piece of automobile that I ever owned in my life. Yeah. And then I sold it. But yeah, it's just one of those cars, Yeah. But yeah, I actually sold it to a guy in Saskatchewan. He drove all the way to Lethbridge to go pick this thing up, sight unseen, basically. Yeah. And he bought it for his nephew, he said. And then, never heard from him again, of course. And then about a year later, get this really weird message on Facebook. And it went into message requests. So I finally saw it. There was this guy, and he's like, "Hey, I think I bought your old Chevette." I'm like, "How did you find me? How did you know that this was mine?" Right? I'm like, "I know I painted it, and it was pretty unique, but how did you find me?" Right? So he found the old bill of sale from the guy that I sold it to. And so the guy that owns it now, he actually cut the floor out of it, and the whole thing, he wanted to do the same thing. Yeah. Build it into a race car. And everyone kind of stops as soon as you find out how much a tube chassis costs. Yeah, exactly. So you can't do it yourself. You're kind of strapped. Yeah. Yeah. There's a surprising amount of pinstripe artists out there. Right. So as much of a dying art as it is, there's more people out there that do it than you might think. Oh, okay. But everyone has their own little style, right? There's a lot of people who only do roadsters or only do airplanes, or they're so specialized. Right. I try not to shy away from anything. Right. A friend of mine is buying a plane right now, and he's going to need some lettering done on that, and so I'll get to do a plane. That's cool. Today I'm doing a Buick. Yesterday I did a 62 Corvair. It's you never know what's going to happen. That's cool. And I really enjoy that part of my job. Yeah. But what I enjoy the most is that it doesn't feel like a job.
Right. You kind of just get to go hang out and work on cars.
Yeah, like I get to work on cars. I get to meet awesome people. You know, I get to travel for my work, and it's a really unique field to be in.
Yeah.
And you know, I was able to combine my passion for vehicles and my passion for art and turn it into a career.
Yeah.
Do you want it on a little bit of a curve?
That'd be wicked.
Yeah.
If it was, yeah.
I'm just thinking that, like,
That would
if we
look
do
really
it straight, like if we do it straight, it would look cool. But if we kind of follow a little bit of a curve,
Just a slight
like just a
curve, just to
touch, like
go around that emblem there. Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be rad.
Right over this.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
Oh, 25.
Yeah. Just young enough to take the risk and just old enough to know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's good.
Start down here.
So you said you moved here when you were 11? Where are you from?
I was born and raised in Germany,
Oh, okay.
in Düsseldorf, Germany. And yeah, we moved here in 2009.
Yeah.
And I've just been in Lethbridge ever since. And I always knew that Lethbridge wasn't going to be the forever.
How do you pronounce your name?
It's Aileen.
Aileen.
Yeah. So most people actually get it wrong because it's spelled the German way.
Yeah.
But we never anticipated moving here when I was born, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's Aileen Jubel.
What's your last name?
Jubel.
Jubel?
In German, you pronounce it Übel, but that's a train wreck here.
Yeah.
So, so when we moved here, we wrote down our names, showed it to some friends, and we're like, how would you pronounce this? And it kind of came more or less to a consensus, and that's kind of what we stuck with. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, my first name is a struggle sometimes.
Do you still speak German?
Fluently, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I speak German every single day with my mom
Oh, cool.
and with my dad and my brother as well.
Oh, wow.
And of course with my family still,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, that's a huge thing. Like my German definitely has become pretty sad over the years
Yeah.
because you start mixing in so much English. And like I was so young when I moved here that a lot of the more like adult phrases and just like a more advanced vocabulary, you know, I just didn't possess that yet at 11 years old.
Right.
Right. So, you know, the more technical terms and anything that I learned in school and in college and healthcare, all those terms, I never learned them in German.
Right.
So that's where it really starts to muddle the two languages, which is unfortunate, but I have definitely, you know, come to acknowledge that it's a problem to me anyway.
Yeah.
So I started learning some of those terms in German and started reading some German books and switched my Facebook over to German every now and then just to switch it up. So,
Brush up on your, yeah.
yeah, brush up on my German.
What other projects do you have? You said you had a Pontiac?
Yeah, so I have a 69 Pontiac. It's a Parisienne. So Land Yacht Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought that one a little over a year ago in December in Hilda. And Hilda is a tiny little town about an hour north of Medicine Hat.
Yeah.
Just on the on the Saskatchewan border. And so my friend and I, we drove out there with the trailer. Pretty much knew I was going to take this car home no matter what shape it was in.
Right.
Which was a bad idea to begin with. Because we got there. I knew it wasn't in the greatest shape, but we got there and I realized that the whole car was like, it was mouse infested. And, it didn't know if the engine was going to turn over. Really knew nothing about it. It's been sitting in a barn since 1984. Like, it was a true survivor. It was a beautiful car.
Right.
It's not rusted out, but it needed two of everything. And so I figured, yeah, let's buy it.
Yeah.
So yeah, towed it home, and I'm into this thing for, I don't know, God, way too much money, but about 400 hours.
Oh, wow.
Like my hours to get it running. And
yeah.
I spent like 14 hours pressure washing just the inside of the car. I had to take the seats out of it, strip the floors down, took the headliner, the carpet, everything out of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like just I redid everything. I was able to save the seats, but I'm like, well, save the seats, right? I'm gonna put some new benches into it, and I'm gonna reupholster the whole interior. Also by myself, which is also probably not a good idea, but one of those people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you gotta try it yourself first.
I have to try it.
Yeah.
I'd rather try it and fail than to just not try at all.
100%.
Nothing good I've ever done has come of just having somebody else do it for me.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, rebuilt the top end of the engine and went through the transmission and the rear end and rewired a bunch of stuff, put a new HEI on it, plugs, wires, all the basic stuff, and drove it to Calgary.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was quite the story. I have the full story on the car posted up on my Facebook page.
Oh, okay, yeah.
For anyone that wants to read through it, but yeah, it was a battle to get that car back on the road. Like anything that could go wrong went wrong.
Oh yeah.
But that's the car game. So yeah, lettering's one of those things. I was super scared of it.
Yeah.
When I first kind of started out, and actually I never did that much lettering because I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't good at it. And then Custom Auto in Lethbridge.
Yeah.
Well, they're just north of Lethbridge, but they messaged me and they're like, hey, we have this old truck. It's an old Ford truck. Would you want to do some lettering on it and like paint our logo onto it? I was like, well, I can absolutely do that. I have no idea how long it's going to take me to actually get it to look good.
Yeah.
But I would definitely be down. And with that job, I realized how much I actually really enjoy lettering. It turned out great.
That's cool.
And they have a few more vehicles that I'm actually going to do pretty soon here as well. And it just snowballed from there. And now I almost, like, as much as I love pinstriping, I almost prefer doing lettering.
Yeah.
Because it gives you, I feel like it gives me anyway, a little bit more creativity.
Right.
And it brings so much character to the vehicle.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And then messing around with gold leaf, and
that's cool.
It's fun. Like, you can make a plan for what you want to do, but you never really know what it's going to turn out.
How long have you been doing gold leaf for?
Not too long. I got into it about half a year ago.
Okay.
Just mostly just on my own stuff, and had some fun with it. But I never really did it on customers' vehicles,
Right.
just because it's such a tricky thing. Like it takes so long to really get it down, and it took me a while to get a hang of it and feel comfortable with it.
Right. What got you into cars?
Oh, that's a loaded question. So it's several things. So some of my earliest life memories is me sitting on my grandpa's lap in his big leather chair watching Formula One.
Oh, nice.
And so for the longest time, that was our thing, and it turned into my thing. And both my parents rode a Harley, and my dad is also an auto body technician.
Oh yeah.
So there was always that influence of vehicles in my life in some way, shape, or form. And we used to always ride the bikes to classic car shows back home, and they're quite different there than they are here. Like you don't really have patina cars there because everything has to follow such strict rules.
Go here.
Like they won't even register it.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got beautiful cars there, right?
Yeah.
And so I always had that influence in my life, and it carried on through to when we moved here, and all the cars that I used to see on car shows. Like I grew up watching like West Coast Choppers and like just all the car shows, like Chip Foos and what have you. So I grew up with this, like not a dream, but like I grew up with this vision of what crazy life you could build, and that carried on over into working on the Yukon, and then all the cars that I used to see being restored on the shows back home are now sitting in farmers' fields. I can touch them, so I am now that much closer to actually doing what they're doing on TV, right? And it just kept snowballing. And then one day I got into racing, and my ex and we used to always go drag racing together, and we still do. And it's such a cool world to be in.
Yeah.
It's like, it's such a community, and non-car people really don't understand it.
100%.
It's such a cool feeling when you're at the racetrack with all your friends, and you just spent the last 3 weeks thrashing to get something done, and now your junk's going through the staging lanes. Yeah, my whole life has been influenced by vehicles, and
That's cool.
I'm so grateful for it, because without that, I would have never met so many incredible people from all different walks of life. And somebody that you would have walked past on the street or in the grocery store, you're sitting there sharing life stories in the pits. I really enjoy that part of vehicles.
That's cool. Dream car. What's your dream car? Or plural?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's another loaded question. Yeah. Ever since I was little, it was always an old, like 80s or 90s Porsche 911 Carrera.
Oh yeah.
Reason for that: so I'm born on November 9th, and in Germany you write the dates kind of backwards, and so technically I was born on 9/11.
Right.
9th of November. And so my dad used to always call me his little Porsche. And
that's cute.
it stuck with me my whole life. I have little diecast cars, and it's one of those one-day cars.
Yeah.
But I know I'm gonna make it happen. And if I have to sell everything else I own, to get one of those cars.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So that's one of them. And then most people don't even know what they look like, but a 67 Bel Air.
Oh yeah.
Kind of has like Malibu Impala vibes, but it's a midsize. And they stole my heart. Ever since I saw them on Rest to Riches,
Yeah.
That blue one that they built,
Yeah.
absolutely gorgeous. Like such a classic car, timeless. And I wouldn't build it into a race car or anything.
Yeah.
I would paint it deep forest green metallic with some nice gloss black wheels and just drive it to the grocery store. You know?
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, that's my other must-have car before I die.
Nice. What's the farthest you've traveled to do pinstriping?
The island.
The island?
Yeah.
Vancouver Island?
Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
I recently went out there as like a fun trip with a good friend of mine. And we met Sean Driver and Miss Daisy out there.
Yeah.
Really cool people. I'll have to get you in touch with them. And he actually does land speed racing down in Bonneville. And he's got an old Studebaker, and he's in the 200-mile club. And this year he's shooting for 300.
Oh, wow.
And I'm pretty sure he's gonna make it.
That's cool.
I have a lot of faith in them. They have really good teams. So, yeah, I ended up doing some pinstriping out there, which was really cool. I met some incredible people. But yeah, that's the furthest I've gone, and I would definitely go there again.
That's cool. Funniest or craziest thing you've ever pinstriped or lettered?
One of the, that's a tough one. Funniest maybe on Rampy in the back. So the whole car is patina, right?
Yeah.
That 62. Is it a 62 or a 63? I can't remember now. But that Corvair, the whole car is patina, and he had to kind of redo the back portion of it, and so he painted in the patina, but it looked way too new, and so just before he went to SEMA, he wanted me to he had me pinstrip the whole car, and he wanted me to put "Touch Me" on the back so that people would touch and like wear down the paint naturally instead of him having to patina it, and people loved it. It was such a hit. And I didn't think much of it, right? But yeah, he really liked that. Craziest thing I've ever pinstriped. I don't know if I've pinstriped anything crazy, really. I did a transmission the other day.
Oh, really?
That one was fun. that was a little spur of the moment. Went over to a buddy's shop in Calgary, and we were just hanging out. And he had this transmission there, and he was taking it down to LS Fest for a friend. And he's like, "Hey, we just painted it. Can you pinstrip it for us?" So I went home, grabbed my stuff, came back, and yeah, just did that up real quick. So
that's cool. What's the biggest pinstriping job you've done?
The biggest pinstriping job. Probably that Corvair as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of firsts on that Corvair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that thing pretty much front to back, and then I just did the dash on it on Thursday.
Yeah.
So that one, either that one or the bike that I did. Actually, yeah, the bike. That one was pretty. I don't think there was a panel on that thing that I didn't touch.
Yeah.
Like every little cover, the little bar in the front, everything had something on it.
Yeah.
That one was the most time consuming for sure.
How many hours were you into that one?
Well into 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We kept adding things on as we went. So it was it was kind of one of those never ending projects, but it turned out really good.
Smallest project you've ever pinstriped?
Smallest project I've ever pinstriped. Like the smallest pinstriping I've done, or the smallest item I've done?
Both. Give me both.
Smallest item I've pinstriped was a phone case.
Oh yeah.
And at the Red Deer swap meet just recently, the vendor that was across from me, he was watching me all day, and he came over and chatted for a little bit, and then at one point things kind of started dying down a little bit in the afternoon, and so I figured I would just take my paint out and started pinstriping a little panel. And he comes over with this restored little pickup truck.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Whatever you want to do on it," he's like, I'll pay you to pinstripe it. And that was some really fine little detail work on it, and it was super fun.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that. Just a little spur of the moment.
That's cool. Was that your first time at the Red Deer Swap Meet?
At the Red Deer Swap Meet, yeah. I did the Lethbridge Swap Meet earlier on.
Yep.
And it was such a success, and I handed out quite a few business cards and got some really good feedback.
Yeah.
And so I figured I would do the Red Deer one as well, and
nice.
It was an even bigger hit. I'm very glad that I went.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was the best one I've seen in a while from Red Deer.
Yeah. I think everyone's still kind of coming out of that COVID hibernation, and you know, all the projects that were started and then kind of laid to rest, and everything's kind of waking up again, which is nice.
That is good. Have you ever taken any like pinstriping classes, or just all like self-taught practice?
All self-taught.
That's cool.
Like I said at the start there, I kind of fell into it.
Yeah.
Never intentionally was like, hey, I'm going to start pinstriping. So I actually started out with acrylic paint.
Oh, yeah?
Because I was doing acrylic paintings, right? So I had a couple of really fine detail brushes, and I just started pinstriping with that, like just for fun. Yeah. And so, yeah, I never took a course. And the biggest thing for me was I didn't want to, like, once I decided that I actually wanted to pick it up, I didn't want to sit there, watch videos, and copy everybody else. Right. When you look at my style versus the traditional pinstriping style, completely different world. Yeah. And that's because I really wanted to keep that creativity and the creative freedom of just doing whatever is in my mind at that moment. Yeah. Right? Like, if you have a specific style that you're wanting to go for, absolutely, I can do that. Yeah. But I really wanted to always just do my own thing. And so I never sat there watching videos of other artists, and the only thing I looked up was how to mix it. Right. And even then I changed it. Yeah. So it's like there are definitely some artists out there who offer classes. Yeah. I haven't seen any up here. But there's a few artists that I follow who offer courses down south. Yeah. So it would definitely be a really cool thing to check out. Right. But I didn't base anything on that. That's cool. Do you have any milestones you want to hit with your pinstriping and lettering? Yes. Yeah. Lots. So once I decided that I wanted to do this as my main source of income. Yeah. I have this goal that I want to be featured in Hot Rod magazine. I think that's any car person's goal or dream. Yeah. But I really want to accomplish that. So Hot Rod magazine would be pretty far up on that list. Really want to do an airplane. Yeah. And most of the other goals I've already reached, luckily. Like doing a bike, and I'm gonna get to work on some X275 trucks right away here. Yeah. So you know how they have the fiberglass front clips, but they have to look like they have headlights. Right. So I'm actually getting to paint the entire front end of 2 trucks. Oh, cool. Which is pretty wicked. Like the chrome bumper and everything, like make it look like it's an actual front end. That's cool. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, a plane and Hot Rod magazine I think would be pretty far up on the list. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Check out Stellar Designs and keep cruise culture alive. Have you ordered the latest issue of the magazine yet? Because it helps out the channel a lot if you do. Get after it.